scrambled about what you can buy. And I'm just the idea you might like areas. So you make the first one. I don't even know the logic behind it. I'm like, oh, we don't want you to stay here. Say that, and now I'm staying. Oh yeah, there's no like you can't set this off. Yeah, like yeah, it makes no sense. Especially like in the lake regions, like so many villages anyway, the majority of people are not.
If you can ask board members to take their seat, we're going to begin the meeting. I know that the PCI committee has just a few more minutes to go in their deliberations, so we're really short on time tonight. So if you can ask board members to please take their seats and we'll begin shortly. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 24/7 full board meeting. My name is Elizabeth Caputo. I'm the chair of the board. This is our board. We're really happy to see you tonight and coming out in this hot weather. As mentioned, we have a busy agenda tonight. We're going to do our best to get through everything. We do have strict time constraints on this room for 10 o'clock tonight. So bear with us. We'll try to make sure, we definitely want to make sure you all have your voices heard tonight. So the first item on the agenda minutes of the June school board meeting.
No, go ahead.
I have 32.
Yeah, it's okay.
0 abstaining. I have 1.
Okay, we're going to put that into the chair's report. I just have a few announcements, both for board members and for the community at large. First, and might be confusing to the ears of some board members, we are not meeting in August, as you know. Just wanted to remind everyone we're off for the month of August. Our next meeting, I believe, is Tuesday, September 7th, which is the first Tuesday of the month of September. It's actually this September 8th. That's the other important thing to remind everyone. Monday, September 1st is before Labor Day, so the September the 8th is actually after Labor Day. We did not want to have a meeting on September 1st, even though it is the first Tuesday of September. So those of you, we get an extra week. The meeting will be Tuesday, September the 8th. So people are looking at their calendars now. So we will not be meeting, otherwise we would have been meeting before Labor Day. Make sure that's clear with everyone. So with that in mind, just have a few other announcements. We have a few things that will be going on in July and August, despite not meeting as a full board. And the Preservation Committee, I should acknowledge, is actually a great committee that they are. They actually are meeting in August, but they will be the only standing committee at this point that will be meeting. With that in mind, though, there will be a lot of other announcements, so please, if you haven't gotten on our email list yet, John Martinez will raise his hand in the back and make sure you get on it. So the best way to stay in touch with us throughout the rest of the summer is by checking that out. There will definitely be issues ranging from one NYC to some issues with city planning. For many of you, there's been a new, have read that there's a new process for identifying district needs. Wymore is going to be working on that from our board along with Penny, our district manager. Stay tuned on that. We'll hear more over email over the course of the summer. Board members, an announcement of something you're going to be getting over email. There is a new sort of initiative focused on workforce-related issues that the Borough President's Office is spearheading. They have invited everyone on the board, the chairs of relevant committees, but also I would extend an open invitation to any of you. If you're interested, you'll be getting an email. Make sure you check it out. The Borough Board meeting is the 3rd Thursday of this month, which is coming up soon. And it's in the morning at the Borough President's Office, starting at 8 o'clock. I'm not sure if Diana wants to add anything to that or not. Or you're fine. Okay, great. So moving on, just one final announcement. Transportation Committee has a few items that were not on the published agenda as of yet that will be announced, including, I know a lot of people are here with some questions about the M86. A few other items, I don't know if it's worth mentioning them now. You'll see them on our website as well. And we have elections coming up. Our elections occur in October of every year for Community Board 7. For executive officers, that would be the chair, the vice chair, and the secretaries. That will take place at our October full board meeting. However, I believe I need to make the announcement today that that the actual election is happening and making a formal announcement about the election, and then nominations will be taken at the September school board meeting. So happy to discuss with any of you. There will also be an election chair who's appointed who will be announced at the September meeting as well. That pretty much concludes my chair's report, and I'd like to turn the meeting over in just a moment. We've had one of the best things about the board this year has been the activity of some of our newer members to the board. They've done a great job, really, with a can-do attitude on putting together a lot of projects, both within their committees and outside of them. One of those committees has dealt with the issue of inclusive playgrounds, and I wanted to turn the floor over to Catherine Lazaro, who has been working as a team effort. I want all the members of the task force actually to raise their hand if they could. Catherine is going to deliver just a very brief report on the status of things and where things are, where things are going from here.
So the Inclusive Playground Task Force has been working for the last year with the community to advocate for the development of an inclusive playground for our neighborhood. We selected Bloomingdale Playground, the 104th in Amsterdam, based on criteria related to community need and public access. To the greatest extent possible, we facilitated an inclusive, community-driven process. We worked with probably dozens of organizations, including the schools connected to the playground, PS 145, Bloomingdale School, and Westbrook Academy, local community-based organizations, specialists in inclusive recreational spaces, local families and children, to develop a very high-level concept of an inclusive playground. The design we envision is distinct from ADA accessibility. It would meet ADA standards of physical accessibility and the goals of universal design, which emphasize integrated play and social interaction among people of all ages with diverse abilities and disabilities. At this stage, Parks received a grant from the Borough President's Office for $400,000 for the playground. We're hoping for a significant additional. We expect to know more about that very soon, in the next 2 weeks, about the total funding situation. We expect the scoping process to begin in the fall. Our task force has been and continues to be in active conversation with Parks to ensure the community remains engaged in the process and our vision of an inclusive community playground is actualized. We're also in the process of scheduling meetings with local officials for the purpose of sharing our vision and receiving feedback and support moving forward. Overall, we're hoping the redesign of Bloomingdale Playground will encourage a genuine cultural shift towards inclusion within our community and some movement to develop standards to guide playground design that move beyond physical access to actually create an inclusive community for all. If you're interested in learning more about our design considerations or our process of community engagement, feel free to email me using the and I can send around here. Any questions?
What is it?
So,
Use the mic.
we define an inclusive playground according to principles of universal design, and so that's distinct from accessibility in that we focus on accessibility. Kids with diverse abilities and disabilities can get into the space, but then it's segregated according to activity, according to ability. Whereas with an inclusive playground, all the equipment is designed so that everybody can use it, and it's in an interactive way. So.
And it's programmed that way.
And there's also some programming that we hope will be an additional component to encourage interaction and education on related to inclusivity. Our next meeting will be in September on the 4th
this upcoming year was made last summer, stating they didn't have room. We don't know how they could have made the decision last summer if they knew they weren't going to use the room for a classroom. We feel that this is in violation of the chancellor's regulations, which say its own school has a responsibility to serve all children who live within its attendance zone, and it's the primary obligation of its own school to serve its own students. We brought up many possible solutions at last month's CEC meeting, which had 7 people from the DOE, and they were as follows. Maintain the 7th kindergarten class that the school is removing. They didn't need that room for a classroom last year. We don't know why they need this for anything else this year. Also, the number of 5th graders next year might only require 4 5th grade classes, which is 1 classroom less than they're using this year. So we want them to look at those enrollment numbers, temporarily increase the size of the kindergarten class. And one thing that maybe hopefully the board can help out with is rent space to accommodate all the lack of space that for universal pre-K, G&T, and our wait list. There's a tremendous lack of space in this area. For G&T, there's a wait list of 270 for G&T in this area. Pre-K, universal pre-K has been kicked out. So we feel like that's a possibility. Rent space to accommodate us in the growing overcrowding of several schools in District 3 that are going to have the same problem next year, and have annexes in the playground to accommodate us. There's going to be rezoning, so we're just looking for a short-term solution now. We know the long-term solutions are being worked on. We would just like a solution for this year. And this is now not how we envision our public education system to function. We've been part of the PS 199 community for years. We stood up with the school years ago, and developers wanted to tear it down. And we supported their efforts to keep the school. We're devastated that our child can't go to school. And she shouldn't be locked out of her school just because she wasn't fortunate enough to win the enrollment lottery. We're confident the school has room to fit. They just haven't made any effort, and it's a violation of the chancellor's regulations. We've emailed, we sent our petition to the chancellor many times, and also the DOE representatives. We haven't heard one response. We have a petition with close to 300 signatures. That's almost 3 times the size of the wait list. And many of our supporters, our parents, current PS 199 parents, stating that they want our children at the school because they want to keep the community together. So, thank you very much for listening to us. Sorry if I went over time.
I was having a conversation with our one of our YL chairs. I think he's happy to take this up to have a conversation with you. I'm happy to have a conversation with you guys after the meeting if there are others that really be helpful.
I don't have anything to say that will make you happy. But just so everyone knows, I am, as of last week, the former PTA president at PS 199, ending a 3-year run. And we have dealt with wait lists to varying degrees for 6 years I've been there. It is a terrible situation on all fronts. There is no good answer. Right now, the school is at 900 students with a target capacity of 750. They let in a class last year. They said it was going to be a one-time thing. As the gentleman said, they kept their word for it. The chancellor's regs do say a lot of things, most of which start with, to the extent that there is seating capacity and seats available. The PTA executive board kind of has taken a difficult, reluctant position on this in light of the fact that the yard, lunchrooms, everything is packed beyond capacity. Giving up art or putting trailers to accommodate kids, it isn't a solution from the school's perspective. There isn't a good answer. We're having to talk about this more, but it's more than just whether 25 more students can be fit into a school, because they've got to be moved up through 6 grades. We're looking at 30 kids, I think, in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades, which we've never had. Putting 32 kids in 5th grades just so we can get to 24 and 5 more in doesn't, there's an entire school that has to be thought of as well as the kindergarten class. So it's a crappy situation that isn't going to get better anytime soon. I'm not looking to get a debate in public session about this, but that's.
Andy told me about this meeting, so I'm here. It was Andy, and then on the other one, and my daughter is on the wait list with it, just a few blocks away from 199. We moved specifically to the area because we knew that this was an excellent school. I've lived in Manhattan since 1996. I lived downtown, but I moved to the upper side because of the good schools, and I feel a bit of betrayal in the sense that we've not been off the slot at the school that's 2 blocks away from our neighborhood. I've come to understand that this has been a problem in District 3 for quite a long time, and I think the extent this problem is not solved even on a short or long-term basis, it's very bad in the neighborhood. If there's just not enough seats for students in the neighborhood, it's not going to be, a family-friendly neighborhood for which has been known as, and it won't be that way for much longer. So I think it's in the best interest of people who care about the neighborhood, not just the individual students who may or may not have gotten into the school of their choice or school they refer to as or considered not to be acceptable, which is currently our status. So we basically don't know what we're going to do right now other than appeal to people who can influence the situation both on a short-term, medium-term, and long-term basis. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm pretty much, my name's Dorothy Webman, and I would say ditto because my colleagues and friends have taken up enough of the time around this subject, and I promise to keep it short. But one of the things I think that does affect this entire community that is not just about the wait list is that where would you put kids? People venture trailers, annexes can be put in playgrounds. You brought up the schoolyard as a possibility, even though I know that presents its own set of problems. The schoolyard does not belong to the school, it belongs to the Parks Department. You guys are here talking about other parks. This may be a Parks and Recreation issue at this point, if that were a solution. But it's not a best solution and it's not an ideal solution. Similarly, there are real estate concerns here. There are a lot of the buildings being developed at the end of Riverside Boulevard, and there was a promised school for that's now been pushed back to 2018 that won't even accommodate the families that are going to move into those 5 buildings, let alone all of us. My daughter is number 94 on the list that was published to be 93. So go figure. And and at G&T, she's number 116 out of 278. What am I supposed to explain to my very bright child about why she can't go to the school that she can look at right out the window? I would welcome any opportunity to speak with the current and existing parents at 199 and anywhere else in the community about the solution.
Our assembly member is here, and she'd like to come and say a few words after Dan.
Hi, everybody. Alumni of CB7 is a community basis. I sort of reflexively said yes or I would have minutes before. I'm here wearing a couple of different hats. First, there's a playground on 108th Street called the Annabelle Avila's Playground, named after a young man who was killed in Vietnam in 6. There's a portfolio that was almost 20. Playground on 108th between Amsterdam and Columbus. It's got good bones, one might say, but it really needs a refurbishment. I know that the community board has put $1.5 million in the district and state for that park. And I guess what I'm here is to both say to the board and also to the assembled, I'm interested in creating a Friends of Annabelle Avila's Playground. My son, who's 3, uses that playground a lot. Probably one of the new playgrounds in northern Manhattan where you don't get baked by the sun any hour of the day, and I don't want to keep frying like it. So if there's an interest in also working together on this and creating a Friends of group, I'd be delighted to work together with other folks and try to build support for refurbishing that playground. 2 is that I'm involved with an organization called Valley Restoration Local Development Corporation. I wonder if I speak 4 items, maybe 4 minutes. There used to be a thrift store on Amsterdam between 106 and 107. That thrift store is now closed. It's now shut down. But the space is open and available. In other words, very generous. There's space below market rates, way below market rates, for an organization that would be beneficial to the community. So no nail salons, no ATMs, no drugstores. But if there is an organization or people who would like to lease the space either a few days a week, even a few nights a week, we're interested in trying to help pull together different organizations to lease the space for community benefit. That really, I don't know anybody's interest. There is no real restrictions. I guess maybe a restaurant probably would work, but this is about anything else. 1, 2, 3. Also, the transportation committee, I talked about this very briefly. Andrew Albert, there's a need for a subway elevator somewhere on 110th Street, please. I know it's on your agenda. I know the MTA has that proposal as well, so hopefully that happens. And lastly, I regularly eat the Manchester Diner. I strongly support their 108th Street application for seats. I think they're very good. I support it. Thank you. Happy to
Someone number roll call.
Hi everyone. Hello. I'm Ms. Rosenthal. I am not in Albany. Which is a good thing because this year the closed session extended an extra week. And that's because there was something we needed to get done that didn't get done. Well, I'll go straight to the first topic that bogged us down, and that was rent regulation. The Republican Senate was more than happy to let the law lapse. And in fact, it did lapse for a few days. Hopefully, no one will take any action. We then renewed it retroactively. We renewed it for 4 years. I'll just tell you some of the basics. We renewed it for 4 years, and the threshold went from 2,500 to 2,700, which means, and it's also disputed, but we believe it's true, that 2,700 is the tendency. So in the past, vacancy control provides an incentive to harass tenants out. Once you get the match, you make improvements. If you hit above 2,500, it's deregulated. What we passed in the language in the law says 2,700 of the tenant relief. So it removes some of the bad part of the regulations, which is around. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe we found it won't, but that is actually good. We also lengthened the period of paying MCIs, depending on 35 unit or less or more. We stretched it out another year for 1 and 2 years for another. We made changes to preferential rent, which is when someone signs a lease that it's, let's say, 1,500, and then when it comes up for renewal, the landlord says, "Oh, wait, your legal rent is 3,000, and that's what I'm allowed to charge you," which destabilizes people in the neighborhood. Because they settled in, they sent it to the school, they got out of the waiting list, and then they're told their rent is too much, they can't afford it. So we changed some of the things around that. You know, I have a bill that gets rid of vacancy control. We've been fighting for that, and MCI changes, we've been fighting for 4 years. And this was the year that we were all, as tenant advocates, were amazing. The Senate refused to budge, and the governor said he couldn't get that to budge either. So it's unfortunate. We did renew for 4 years. They wanted 8 years. We really would have spelled the end of the regular, the end of much of it. So those are some of the good things. But as always, if you have members around you, let me know, because we fight against that law. Another thing, today, the governor signed a bill that we call Enough is Enough about campus sexual assault. And some of you know I've been very active in trying to get more funding for rape crisis centers and for education and direct service. And this bill does an amazing amount of things. It gives more than $10 million to rape crisis and intervention centers. It lays down a set of rules and rights for students who in the past have had to, ask the administration of their private or public college to please deal with this. And they were forbidden to contact the local police. It was all mishandled in order to save the reputation in lots of cases of the university. And, 1 in 5 women have suffered sexual assault. And a lot of that is turning on college campus. So this was a big bill signing. Students will get the right to a fair and impartial judicial process to be accompanied by by an advisor, at least one level of appeal. It also requires colleges to provide student information, student training, outreach, and basically it's yes is yes and maybe is no, and no is no. And, you know, it will require training of everyone involved in college campuses because apparently the rate of sexual abuse is, you saw the case of Columbia where the woman carried a mattress down. And it happens a lot. And having worked closely with all the rape crisis centers around the state, I know how much good work they do and how much they do funding. I'm very glad that they did. We did a bunch of stuff on screen and read. I won't go through this, but we did strengthen some of the screen and read regulations. One in particular, if someone had a windfall 1 year and they were coming from the threshold of 50,000, they would get down the screen for a year. The next year it goes back down and they were already in a higher rate. So this will allow them to have a one-time bump and still be doing the program, the turnkey program. I'm having a shredding event, which I'm looking for, with the controllers upstairs, and it is Saturday, July 18th from 11 to 3. Bring your I know it's a problem for many constituents, particularly people who live here all their lives, with every paper they've ever done. And it's actually a big problem. But if people come and bring this to shred, that'll help it a lot. Sorry? I would have to throw stuff into the shredder. It's in front of my office, 230 West 72nd Street, from 11 to 3, Saturday, July 18th. Maybe you'll have a question. I passed a whole bunch of bills, 11 House
Shredded wheat.
But we'll talk about it if you want, in the back or in the future. And I'm just happy to be back and thank you for all your work that you've done over the past 6 months. And I'm supposed to be there, but I look forward to catching up with you.
Thank you. Also, we're joined by State Senator Brad Hoyland, who's also here.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everyone. I'm Brad Hoyland, your state senator from 72nd and South. And I just wanted to commend Assemblywoman Roosevelt, one of our members. You heard her say, yeah, round of applause. You heard her casually say, oh, I passed 11 bills. You know, that's not the status quo at all, believe me. So she works really hard, she gets a lot done, and she's always thinking about the west side of Manhattan. So again, I'm very grateful to have her as a colleague. I'm glad to be back too. We have had a very tumultuous session, 6 months, and of course, it began with the arrest of the Speaker of the Assembly and the President, temporary President of the Senate. So it kind of, went downhill from there, and that says a lot. The Assemblywoman mentioned the bills concerning rent regulations. The fact that they were extended. I'm very grateful for that. I'll say though that in the Senate, and she's right, it was the Republican Senate who basically blocked the Assembly every step of the way. At the end, we had a bill to vote on, which included a lot of stuff, including information that we didn't see until minutes before the vote was taken. That's the game in all of it. They keep the bills printed, but they don't let the senators, Democratic senators, see the details until it's actually you have time to vote. So it makes voting an impossibility in many ways. So they present this huge, several hundred-page bill. They call it the Big Ugly for a reason, because nothing in there is really what you want to vote in favor. In terms of rent regulations, we did get the control deal. In terms of public education, we're still $5 billion short change. That's owed to the city of New York from the Campaign for Fiscal Equity. So I voted no. I voted no with a number of my Democratic colleagues. Very proud to do so. That said, I was proud to support some legislation that made it through in the final days of the session. One seems like a commonsensical improvement on the way domestic violence reports are actually ushered through the police system. There was a tragic incident involving a woman named Daisy Garcia. She filed domestic violence reports with the local police precinct. They were in Spanish. They were never translated. Her ex-husband showed up one day and murdered her and her two daughters. It's so sad that the police never knew to act on her report. So I passed a bill, I'm very proud to have done so, that will require local police precincts to translate those reports so victims of domestic violence can get the support they need from the police precinct in a timely fashion. So that I think was very positive. I hope the governor will sign it. Another bill that I passed involves tuberculosis illness. There's a new variant of tuberculosis you may have read about that comes from Europe and the Far East that is incredibly virulent and 70% fatality rate. And one person has actually contracted it in North America. We need tuberculosis testing to occur more easily. So my bill will allow nurse practitioners to actually administer the tuberculosis test and hopefully improve public health generally. So I was proud to pass that bill. And I wanted to give a shout out to my colleague here, Tara Klein, who works for me. A couple of weeks ago, someone was talking about shredding. Well, I'm going to talk about ivory crushing. The African elephant is incredibly endangered. One elephant is killed every 15 minutes for its ivory. So a constituent came to me and to Tara, and this shows you the power of local government. She said, why don't you have an ivory crush in Times Square? And you can bring in some ivory, get the federal government, and it'll be a big spectacle and raise awareness about the endangered African elephant and put poachers on notice and really choke off consumer demand. I said, well, they said, well, what can I do? So she said, why don't you write to the feds? So I sent a letter to the Fish and Wildlife Service. And a few weeks later, we got a response. They said, we'd love to have an ivory crush in Times Square. And I said, okay, what do we do next? Well, Tara really helped usher that through. So a few weeks ago, we crushed using an enormous rock crusher a ton of illegally gotten ivory. New York City, by the way, is the hub for the illegal ivory trade in North America. And the Secretary of the Interior was there, the State DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation Commissioner was there, and as was international media. It was so important to really send that message that New York is participating in ending the illegal trade of ivory. We're looking at other ways that New York can be supportive of the movement to save the elephant. So as the ranker on the Environmental Conservation Committee means a lot to me. And I'll end with this final note on environmental conservation. There was a bill in the Senate called the Child Safe Products Act, which the goal is incredibly laudable. There's a lot of kids' toys that have toxins in them, and they're still permitted. Everything from benzene to cobalt to arsenic in kids' toys. So I have a 4-year-old. It resonates with me. My daughter, she doesn't have her fingers in her mouth, has a toy in her mouth. And those chemicals can be very dangerous. The bill that was before the Senate eradicated those toxins from kids' toys. The last minute, the Republicans watered the bill down, changed the name of it from the Child Safe Products Act to the Chemicals and Toys Act, and allowed a certain percentage of chemicals to remain in kids' toys. So I led a revolt with one of my Democratic colleagues. They were depending on our votes. The Republicans weren't that interested in the bill. And we pulled votes from the bill, killed the revised version. We're going to revisit that in the next session. Try to get a Child Safe Products Act that does what it's intended to do, is get chemicals out of kids' toys. So I'll keep you updated on that. I got a text on my way here from Tara saying that Elizabeth said, be brief. So I hope that was brief enough. No, you're very kind and generous. And again, I echo what somebody said, thank you for your service for the last 6 months, and glad to be home. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, well, I believe the legislature has done many good things. One of the obvious facts is to indicated that both houses have come up with a bill that they agreed on, but the government won't move it. This jeopardizes a lot of very important projects, relief of clowning, phase 2 of Second Avenue, downtown fund from the food division, the R211 car owner, and the list goes on accessibility and safety. But now the legislature is not going to come back to maybe until January. But well, this is actually going to jeopardize some very important projects.
I couldn't agree more. You know, you've identified something which is a structural problem with the New York State legislation. We have a GDP the size of a state. That we're meeting 6 months out of the year trying to pass, legislation at the very last minute, bills that we don't even have a chance to. That's, it's this kind of hurry up and wait mentality in Albany to try to ram things at the last minute. And big infrastructure projects get pushed off to the wayside. The MTA deficit is $15 billion. And we're not doing anything about it. So the Republicans are so afraid of anything that might contribute to the MTA, like, God forbid, bridge tolls, or bringing back the commuter tax. But, we as New Yorkers know how important that is, and we need to fund the MTA fully. Forget about the improvements. I'm talking about state of good repair. What's going to happen to our subway system and our mass transit system is that it's going to continue to deteriorate and cost us more in the long run. So, we as West Siders have to be activated with all the transportation advocates, your transportation, continue to put pressure on us as legislators, on the governor, on the Republican Senate, to bring focus back to infrastructure. I can't agree more about how crucial this is. What an enormous blind spot we have in Albany on this issue. Thank you again.
It was a great presentation by both the Assembly member and the Senator, given all this info on Albany, the closing of the session. So I don't see any other electeds here at the moment, so we're going to go back to the public session. Next item up, next person up is Jennifer Barr, followed by Bob Wyman. And then I'll just announce that we're going to get Armstrong next. And then Russo and
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to share with you all some good news about the library budget, if you haven't heard already. This year, the city will increase the operating budget for all 3 of the library branches, or systems rather, to $43 million. So I'm not sure if you remember, this is fantastic news for us. This is the largest increase for libraries in New York City history. So, round of applause. So I just, there's so many people to thank, but I'm here to thank for support. As always, this budget increase is going to go a long way to help us make sure we keep up with the demand and just better serve the community that really depends on us. So I just wanted to also invite all of you to our Library Advocate Appreciation Day, which will be July 14th. I just found out about this today. So it's just our way to say thank you to the community and to celebrate this historic budget achievement, really. I don't have all the details of this yet, but this is a system-wide thing. So feel free to call any of the libraries, St. Agnes, Bloomingdale, and Riverside, sometime later this week to find out more about it. So I guess that's it for me, and thank you all.
Bob Wyman.
Good evening. After 6 years of my talking to you guys about this, I think this may be the last time when I ever mention number 6 Florida. It is now illegal in all buildings in all boroughs in the city. However, you should know that there still remains 7 buildings in CB7 that are continuing to, they haven't converted yet. And the hope would be that they will convert by the winter, but at this point, there are others that could be getting violations, whatever. Hopefully, the city will do that. It's important to understand, though, that while we can't talk about number 6 anymore because it's gone, now we can talk about number 4 and the rest of the fossil fuels. One day we'll talk about number 2. That's far in the future. At the moment, according to the state laws, we can burn number 4 until 2030. That is way too long. We need to stop burning number 4 now, as soon as possible. It doesn't cost very much at all. It's only like a couple $1,000 to burn number 4 and 2. And given the savings, you know, it's burning that, I think it's very much more expensive than number 4. But this no economic justification for continuing to do what that fuel does, and then it's killed and sicken the people who live here. So hopefully, as in the past, the community board led in encouraging the end of number 6. Hopefully, we'll be able to, in the future, see the community board begin the fight against number 4, try to get it cut down before 2050.
That's an environment committee led by Laurie Newell, which focuses on a lot of these issues. They meet the third Monday of every month. So
Bob knows us really well.
I know Bob does, but not everyone in the community is. Let's make that announcement. That looks pretty good. When Armstrong's up next, and next to Russo.
This is an update on the proposal of the River Town right there to build a one-story hospital on 7th Street. The opposition of the in that area to that, and the hope that the home will expand as it originally on 106th Street, where that was the city was there. That is one update. The board the activities, our appeal that the board is given an appeal regarding open space of the concept plan will be decided on the 18th. There have been sufficient to apply. They have asked for now a summary of the case. And the decision is due on the 18th. We want to thank the board again for the listening to on the overall situation. We did not ask for the board to be involved, but that's what the standard and appeal. But I do want to thank Mark Dillon and Kate Allen, who have listed up in their individual expert capacities there are two what are called articles 7 and 8. These are cases to the Supreme Court challenging the decision of the New York State Department of Health to accept the environmental impact statement, which was done over a period of years and for precedent. So that is articulate. I can't give you dates on that, but the two cases, one filed by the same schools like US 163, and one filed by residents of the Park West area on 97th Street, not just Park West Village, but also the surrounding area. Getting consolidated under one judge. That is not combined. They are consolidated, are two cases. And as one has been delayed, I go back and forth. As updated as possible. I think you probably either have or will have a report on these school noise bill that was proposed by Mark Levine in the Board of Council. Separately, you should, but the hearings were last week. It was about, I was there. Again, various people testified from here in individual capacities. Very thoughtful bill, and frankly, it was very well received. And I think we'll probably go forward with it. Hear more about that. That's essentially it for the moment. The next chapter will follow probably in September. Oh, I will say one other thing. Anything that you guys can do to help encourage the reform to rethink. We're putting up a long opposition to make it hard for them on 97th Street.
Associate Executive Director of Queens Community House, and is now the new Executive Director of Lincoln Square Neighborhood Center. We're working very closely together, so this is where I'm introducing Susan to Community Board Center. I told her it's a little different the west side of Queens Community Boards, but anyway, she's very, very experienced.
Certainly wonderful of you to get into this, but I just want to let everybody know we're really excited about the opportunity to revitalize the center. I think it was a wonderful history. There was some fantastic staff. There's some community members who have been very supportive, and it's been a pleasure here on day 4 in this role to be able to meet all of you and say the doors open, visit us, welcome and support, and I think we're going to see a real improvement in the richness, the depth, and the breadth.
Yeah, we'd certainly like to come back to the community board and report regularly in terms of what's happening on 65th Street. We'll make sure that you get Susan's. Thank you.
Here.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm here representing the Columbus Density on Bid. We have a restaurant tonight and our events calendar at the back of the room, and I just wanted to call attention to some of the things coming up in the next 2 months. If you missed the team the shoe in Central Park, you can now see a all-female production in one side park. So get out there and enjoy it. We also have our historical tour coming up on the 15th. Of this month, and along with Dan, when it celebrates continuation of Valley Restoration, they will have a street fair on Amsterdam on Saturday the 18th. This street fair has a little bit to be desired in the past, but we're hoping that this year will be the start of the turnaround for that. National Night Out is coming from Patrick Warrior Playground up on 99th Street in Amsterdam. Coming to you. We just had our first Columbus Avenue Family Days on the 14th of June. Thank you to the board for allowing that. That is the first time that we've had any Columbus Avenue on north of 96th Street. So that was with that and we're going to ride UH collection and a Facebook email later to the world celebrating some of the local restaurants our neighborhood. A number of other things are listed, and then our annual meeting will be coming up on the 22nd of July. We have a youth hospital. We're negotiating with Gail and hoping that she'll be able to speak. And then back in part of the neighborhood history group, we're looking at institute on some of the social service and health institutions that have made our neighborhood. That'll be in the evening with food from local restaurants.
Thank you, Peter. So before we move to reports from staff and elected officials, just 2 quick announcements to the community. The first is a happy note. I know Diane will probably bring it up in the report tonight, but we heard news, actually a member of the community brought it up, so thank you for mentioning to us that the Women's World Cup winning soccer team, we actually are going to have a ticker tape parade in Manhattan. Thanks to our borough president for making that happen. Whatever details are available now that that's happening. On another note, sort of less happy note, many of you have read about the work that Community Board 7 has done related to the playground at PS 156. Oh,
Sorry to interrupt. Yes. I accepted gentleman's form and I didn't give it to you. So
oh, okay.
You can finish it. I apologize.
You can finish it. I'll be quick. Many of you were involved over the recent years about the activities related to the playground at sort of PS 166 and part of PS 166, the actual park. There was a lawsuit that had been filed. There's another lawsuit that has emerged. I believe it's Article 78 proceeding, and this is the last sort of attempt, I think, to try to stop the renovations to the playground. There are our community board that actually voted to support some of the safety improvements to the playground. The groups that are sort of responsible for the lawsuit are Friends of Playground 89 and also Landmark West. We understand that, without knowing a whole lot about the situation, that they have filed this lawsuit against the Parks Department, and a decision will be made prior to the July 23rd expected groundbreaking on the playground. So stay tuned for details, but obviously it's been a big issue in the neighborhood and on this board for a long time, and hopefully it will come to a resolution. Also want to thank Emily Frost for her reporting on it, since she was one of the great news about the details. Okay, so happy to come up and sorry to interrupt your.
Yeah, I don't know that I didn't see my, I've read some of the legal papers, not all of them. There's not going to be a decision on the merits, but there will be a hearing on the question of whether an injunction should be issued to prevent or stop the commencement of the renovation. So if an injunction is issued, that'll change the story. If it is not, renovations may start on the situation on July 23rd. We'll believe it when we see it. But even regardless of what happens with this particular program, it's not necessarily the end of the program. Yeah, we had unanimously, more than once, I think, ultimately, supported the renovations. But they, I don't know, the final vote of PPC occurred 2 weeks ago.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Deepak Kumar. I'm the mayor's office, primarily the IDNYC program. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. It's a new municipal ID, it's free municipal ID for all New York City residents. The shown here is functions of New York City. So, yeah, no, basically, it serves as a form of identification that is accepted by all the agencies, including NYC. But of course, you all want to have state ID, so what you're probably asking yourself, so am I getting out of it? It also serves as a one-year membership to over 30 cultural institutions across New York City. So the American Museum of Natural History right here, free one-year membership. Trump Zoo, free one-year membership. The aquarium, free one-year membership. You name it, you probably have it. And also here, access to movie tickets. Because that's what this is kind of the why, and it also serves. We have national partners and international partners, so the Disney World, the Six Flags, you can put yourself there. It's just an initiative by New York City to have every New York City resident an ID. Yes, that's all I'm going to say. And I am hopefully elected with the mayor's office for this program. So here's
Yeah, can I just ask a question for everybody? When the card first came out, the website was so swamped, the system was so swamped, we couldn't even get on the website to make an appointment to do whatever you needed to do. What's the status now about how one does it and what the not?
So when we started, there was an issue that was the prime issue that we had capacity. So before we started, we only had 12 sites in about 17. Now we're 19 sites across all 5 boroughs. Also, we opened up sites like this, we know we have both. Like, close to once a year, we're probably getting coming in libraries that most festivals in New York. They're also related but yeah, we basically.
So it's the first step to do something online to make an appointment.
Yeah, we're going to make one today. Yeah.
Oh, I signed up for the appointment way in advance. We were able to get and I think that was stuff like that. So it was very
I had a similar experience back in March where it took me 15 minutes. It was as easy as could possibly be. A question, when I went and got it, I asked one of the people working, he said that he estimated that 80% of the people did not have other forms of ID, which is fabulous that it's providing that many New Yorkers with a form of ID, which I know is one of the main intents of the program. Do you have official statistics of? But do you know of the people getting the ID NYC?
So we're very big on data, but we don't collect a lot of data. We don't tag anyone.
Hi, to make an appointment, Are there any other ways besides online?
Yeah, you can email through.
Document.
And the post from here will probably be in the content library or up on the website.
Is that true for canceling or reconfirming or rescheduling an appointment?
Uh,
Also through 311?
Yeah, you get a confirmation number. It'll-
You know what?
Down.
Tell us all what's going on in 1 minute.
Hi,
everyone, my name is Jackie Blank, I'm here from the Christian Adler's office. I'm going to speak really briefly about two things. The first is the American Quality Decision Report, which is really the Congressman spearheaded the congressional media brief, which was signed on to by 211 members of the House and Senate. So we feel like how does that engagement with the foremost members of American Policy Congress? Obviously, this is not that help y'all with LGBT rights issues. There's a lot more work to do. I'm looking forward to getting numbers now. I also want to really briefly give an update on the Use of Drug Reauthorization Act. I know I've spoken about that before. It has two components: the Victims Compensation Fund and the World Trade Center Health Fund. The Health Fund runs out now before. We're really pressing time constraint here. These are incredibly essential programs for first responders and survivors. There was an excellent hearing in the House for that whole program. Even like Republicans on the committee were committing to passing the bill, so that's very heartening. We're hoping for a vote around September 11th, and I'll be there. Good evening, CB7. We've been CB7 a bit short. We have a really busy agenda. Going on with the rest this month, right? So first of all, we applaud the rent freeze. We're really excited to see that. We called for it a couple of months ago. I think that it's what we need right now in New York City. Really, rent is the #1 issue on people's minds. We're really excited about that. And the second thing related to the rent issue is that we discovered last year that the President of Finance kind of just quietly changed the policy. A lot of you might be on the street or on the street when you go to these forms, you always have to say who the head household is. We found out that households where it's elderly households or maybe a parent and a child, if the head of household died, there was only 60 days to recertify your spree benefit. And if you did not recertify within 60 days, you faced eviction. So not only were you bereaved and upset and trying to do other things, you were also now facing eviction. We are joining on the lawsuit against the Department of Finance to try to resolve this issue because it's a huge issue. And we also would like to applaud the New York State Legislature that passed a bill that says that this time period is ridiculous, it overrides it, and it changes the time period so that people have 6 months now. Signed by the government. Thank you.
David Bailey next. Senator Esperanza.
Hi, my name is David Bailey from the State Senator Esplanet's office. It's a quick follow-up to the New York City ID. Decided on 135th Street. There's actually no wait time anymore, so you can sign up tonight for something tomorrow. So in regard to Senator Esplanet in Albany, he also, like Senator Bowman, voted against the red laws, which he did not think were strong enough, and he thinks that, or thought that we should have basically held out longer to get a better deal. Another issue that Senator Esplanet has been focusing on for a couple of years now is protecting the Palisades Parkway. There was a plan by LG to build a 143-foot tower, which would have been 70 feet above the tree line, and would have destroyed part of the view of the Palisades. Just a couple weeks ago, LG announced that they would limit the height of that development to 69 feet, which would be at the tree line. And I know that's something that a lot of people in this community and also in Manhattan along the Hudson River really cared about. So we're glad to see that. David, good night. Okay.
I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, just because you're the first legislator staffer up, but I'm actually gonna say this to the next couple of staffers. Council committee sent a letter to many West Side representatives 4 months ago, and we didn't receive a response from any one of the representatives we sent a letter to, and I just get a verbal commitment from you that you'll respond to this letter before the next meeting happens. Sorry to pick on you for going first.
Take a look at it.
So is that a yes? Do I have a verbal commitment? This is a very innocuous letter about tax policy from Ariana's perspective, because that's something that has to be fixed.
Okay, yeah, I'll get it in a second.
Even if the letter is we're not going to respond, I want to answer.
How's everybody doing? My name's George, I'm Senator Serrano's office. The center was pleased that we were able to pass 4 bills this year. We obviously came up a little bit short in some things we wanted in regards to rent, but the center remains a strong advocate and continue to fight until we get hopefully everything that we need, keep everybody in their home and everything safe here. We are in the Upper West Side this month and next month. As always, we have constituent hours, so if you have any questions in the back, there's a schedule of where a representative from our office will be to help you guys in case you can't make it up to our office. Also, I think that's about it. So thank you all.
So do I get that verbal commitment from your office as well? Thank you.
The next up is Sarah from, and then David Moss.
Thank you. I'll be very brief since Senator Hoylman and Assemblywoman Rosenthal really covered most of what had transpired at the end of session in Albany. But I will say there is opportunity for affordable housing on the west side. In Hell's Kitchen, there are 235 apartments, studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, for which applications are being accepted. They're due by July 13th. Rents will vary between $868 and $1,124, varying by apartment size. Eligible applicants must have an income between $31,132 and $51,780. There will be some preferences given to mobility impaired applicants, visually and hearing impaired applicants, and government employees of New York City, among other groups. That's really all I have to report on this one. Thank you.
Anything you're off with, because you did cover enough districts in your audience.
I'm David Moss from Council Court Johnson's office. On the same day that the Supreme Court passed their historic same-sex marriage ruling, the City Council also passed the 2016 budget. It is a $78 billion budget, but there's a lot of great stuff in both for District 3 and for New York on the whole. The council member was able to secure over $2 million for our parks. That includes the creation of a new park on West 20th Street. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars going to pedestrian safety, going to our schools on top of their day-to-day operations. There's going to be some much needed renovations made there, and much more on the citywide level. The council member thought with millions of dollars to get put towards ending the AIDS epidemic in New York City and the state. There's going to be free breakfast and lunches for tens of thousands of school children, 6-day library service, which is really excellent. There's going to be a citywide bail fund, which is kind of my favorite one. The city's going to invest over $1 million as a bail fund, which is going to keep low-income, nonviolent offenders basically out of Rikers Island while they try to get back to convicted any crimes. So it's a really great program. There's a lot more. We have a detailed board report with a bunch of items that are in the budget on it. So I won't take up any of your time. So thank you.
John Oliver, who's an Upper West Sider, for those of you who don't know, did a great segment on his show a couple of weeks ago about this very issue, and it's great to see you. Okay, if there are no other staff of elected here, raise your I wasn't sure Gail was coming, I was like. Shannon Howard, who represents, Girl Business.
Good evening. Thank you. So we recently announced our capital grant. Again, this is a part of the yearly, our charter mandate and this year's implementation process. So for schools, there were 57 impacted public schools that will receive funding for a range of tech projects. We also were able to give money to parks, including playground, as well as energy playground as well. You can also, however, also the final school list of the recipients and a little bit more information about the project. We're really interested in you. Very happy to be able to allocate those funds. And the Boone Dove branch off to that so money as well. The Western Historic District, we are pleased that LCD approved it. We do have some concerns that we are following up on. Also, some of the concerns about our Fresh Foods for Senior program, starting with Gail was in the council in 2012. We're happy to announce that it's expanded up to Northern County. We have nearly 40 locations, stretching from the West Village to Northern County, where we're able to provide seniors with fresh fruits and vegetables on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. It's $8. There's no fee to do it. You can sign up. You don't have to be a senior to get a bag of fresh fruits and vegetables. You can go to our website to find a location near you. And we are having concept that those one is doing some delivery for us. So we're happy about that as well. Tomorrow we're having a NYCHA town hall to discuss the administration's NYCHA next generation plan. We're having two of those, one for the developing the northern part of the borough, and the second one for the developing the southern part of the borough. The one for tomorrow is going to be held at Country College School of Social Work from 6 to 8, and that will be 2183 3rd at 119th Street. And finally, as we just stated, we are happy that the ticker tape parade is taking place. I understand. So I understand that it's going to take at 11 a.m. I was trying to put the details on my phone, but Brenda is like the weather. Yeah, it is. It's going to be Friday at 11. So I was trying to get some more. Thank you.
We're going to do the business session now. First up is the transportation committee, so I'll turn it over to our commissioners, Chair Wagner and Delaware.
Thank you. Board members, we've gotten a copy of the resolution. This resolution is for the transportation committee and includes unanimous by 5 people. For the engineering and the affirmation. We have a speaker from the public on this. Number one is Louis Stelson, followed by George. One.
Willem Stelter. I just want to say that I think you were put in yesterday I had a very dangerous and yesterday and street safety incident. People in the neighborhood have been very much. I think the neighborhood has resolution for SDOT study in February 2013. And we're still waiting for it. And then we have city bike training. And a lot of the city bike cyclists are tourists, and they really need to be active. Very scary. We don't have any more traffic. So we need to try to stay as possible. And having it in the middle of the neighborhood is best. So that's how I go all the way up to one section with others. But people will use so that's a good one.
Thank you. George Bean, followed by Reed Ruby.
And I think we could bring it up tonight. I own a building on Amsterdam Avenue, in 1978, during which time the neighborhood changed from used furniture stores to fast food stores, restaurants. And we learned from the bike lane on Columbus Avenue that the fast food delivery guys are channeled on the bike lane, which makes it a lot safer and for pedestrians. They feel safer and they are more comfortable. The Amsterdam is very wide avenue. The bike lanes come with an island which narrows it, makes it easier for our older residents and our residents with children. That's really what the neighborhood, much of the neighborhood is. It's a big safety issue. I've talked to my store tenants, and they're very much in favor of the protected bike lane. They know that bike share is coming, and with bike share will come new people to the neighborhood. Their customers will come on bikes. Our customers, my tenants' customers, do not come in cars. And I'm here in favor of that. This is really directed more newer members of the community, because everybody's been hearing the same story for the last 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Reed Ruby, followed by Margaret Marvell.
Reed Ruby. I think about the community board every time I bike up Amsterdam Avenue. I'm scared to death, and I hope that the community board is going to cause the Department of Transportation to do this study to make Amsterdam Avenue safe so that I don't get hit, so that I can continue to come to these wonderful meetings and participate in the political process. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Harbaugh, followed by John Stetson.
My name is Margaret, and I feel a little terroristic on my side. I love biking, but I'm scared to bike on Amsterdam. I love biking so much that this summer I turned 30, I biked across the United States, from Boston to Seattle, and then down to San Diego. A lot of people ask me, wasn't I worried or scared? Because I was not. And the biggest fear was always that I was elevated on roads and looking back. Year after my ride, my cousin Gordon was killed when he biked to work in Boston. Gordon was a careful and safe biker. A taxi swerved right and pushed my cousin under the wheel of the garbage truck. He died painlessly. I still can't believe my cousin's life was snuffed out at age 24. This is another guy that didn't see him. One of the hardest things for me since my cousin was killed has been watching many other cyclists get killed in the same spot. This is in Boston, and the city feels that there's no room for protected cycling. It's right in front of the university, and I always wonder how many more lives will be sacrificed before the city decides that cyclists deserve green to be safe. But luckily, in contrast on Amsterdam Avenue, which is 6 lanes, there's plenty of room protected by lanes. The question really is vision and political will. I love biking and I live on Amsterdam Avenue, but I don't bike there yet because the neighborhood street design right now makes me feel unsafe and like I'm putting myself in unnecessary danger. I really hope this wide and dangerous avenue will be designed to incorporate space to welcome everybody in.
John Simpson, 140 Riverside Drive. I've been coming to these meetings and speaking on this topic for a few years now. And it just, with City Bike now coming to our neighborhood, I think it is essential that we push DOT on this essential northbound pairing to our southbound bike lane on Columbus Ave. Amsterdam is a very busy commercial street. It has lots of businesses, many of which, in fact, most of which have their patrons do not come by motor vehicle. except maybe taxi or one of the 2 bus lines that runs up the avenue. City Bike will bring significant amount of new customers to these businesses, as it has in Midtown Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, and Brooklyn, and as it will very shortly in Long Island City, Queens. I supported the community board on the resolution in December of 2013 on this issue. I am not happy that DOT has not come back to us yet, and I think it is time that the community board tells DOT, hey, what's going on? Why has we passed the resolution in December of 2013, why have we heard nothing? I support this resolution that is before the board today, and I urge you all to vote yes.
Let me say this to those who don't know. This is a reaffirmation of our resolution from December of 13. But included in the December issue of 13 is the advice but also included in the last item in that resolution call for enforcement, greater enforcement of all vehicles that need of all from April of 13, greater enforcement for all vehicles on the street. And that also is something we came up with discussion with regard to usage of the street. So all of that is before you to the history of what we have here. And we're asking, as was explained by the last speaker here, we're asking for the agency involved to act on these things.
This resolution will not be amended because I will believe it. It is a resolution in the guise of safety. Resolution seeking a bike lane on Amsterdam Avenue. There already is a northbound bike lane on Central Park West. But there isn't on Amsterdam Avenue, which is room for all the trucks and all the cars that come north. It's the only truck route north in the city. It is extremely congested as it is. You cannot afford to lose a lane for any reason. If it does lose a lane, then if the congestion increases, the ironic result will be that adding a bike lane will increase pollution, both noise and air pollution, because trucks will have to go slower, they'll be stalled, and the longer it takes a truck to get in and out of our community, the more pollution will happen. There's nothing wrong with a study of Amsterdam Avenue, but it raises the guise of a safety issue where there is no documented evidence that Amsterdam Avenue is any less safe. There's no documented evidence of its resolution or that I'm aware of. That Amsterdam Avenue is less safe than Broadway or West End Avenue. So I'm opposed.
Let me try it on just a clarification on Dan. You said that this resolution tonight is a reaffirmation of those past 2 resolutions, but in fact, it's not. It's really different. The past 2 resolutions, in addition to several safety measures, which I think are non-controversial, called for a feasibility study for a technical doing on Amsterdam Avenue. This resolution takes the next step, and without that feasibility study, specifically asks that the DOT implement a protected bike lane either on Amsterdam Avenue or Amsterdam Avenue on another northbound avenue. So this is a specific affirmative vote. They're asking for an affirmative vote supporting the technical without us ever having gotten the feasibility study that we asked. I would just observe that we did that with Western Ave, all of those changes were made without a feasibility study. I think the reconfiguration of Western Avenue solved some problems at some infrastructure, but it's created a very, very dangerous situation now for people who get out of taxis, people who drop off passengers, people who are in low because of the elimination of one yard. So my observation is, so that everybody understands, we're not voting for the reaffirmation of those two previous resolutions. The language of this one says implement the protected class. Just don't.
Potential inclusion. Okay.
Yeah.
Potential inclusion. What?
Not
implement.
If
Let me ask you, try to give us the same courtesy that you gave them.
If it would help, I'll leave it.
No.
There's a lot of talk about this committee. What was the committee vote? Yeah.
And the reason it was unanimous is because if we get a raise, what we've asked the DOT for on 2 other occasions, but else in some kind of words, else to stop misery and to do it immediately because there are new wrinkles now. But it doesn't say absolutely, positively construct an engineer and
I disagree. I thought it does. And let me just read the language.
The wording, I gotta tell you, the wording of the resolution as study and proposed. It is not something the DOT is going to come here and study and propose they're going to come to it.
Yeah, with all due respect, that's not what the resolution says. Can I just read it? It says, we're calling upon the DOT immediately to act on and implement the safety improvements called for the April and December 2013 resolution, including without limitation pedestrian refuges, public spaces, signal timing, and a protected northbound bike lane on Amsterdam Avenue, and if they deem that bike lane not feasible, then on another northbound avenue. We are calling. I just want to understand what the resolution is. It's calling on them to implement a protected bike.
If feasible.
Either on Amsterdam or on another northbound street. It's not reaffirming our call for feasibility. That's true. Feasibility is in there. The word feasible is in there. And when it says if not feasible, that implies that they're going to determine whether or not it's feasible. I think it's disingenuous to say that this is just it's falling for the price. It's calling if that's what you want. It's calling from the neck on an extremely dangerous street. And Richard, just your statement that there is no documented evidence. Between 1995 and 2009, there were more than 1,000 pedestrian injuries or fatalities on Amsterdam, which was that's from the DOT, which is far and away makes it far and away the most dangerous road down the road. The next closest street would be Broadway, which is less than 600, northbound Broadway. The bike lane on Central Northwest is just paint on the ground, and it's actually the most dangerous place to cycle. 47 injuries in the last 2 years. I think that's a lot of injuries.
Also, based on what you're saying, this is an implementation of a northbound protected bike lane. Two things have happened since we initially requested transportation, we initially requested a study. One is we found that Columbus Avenue's protected bike lane actually works. The second thing is we have city bikes. We have 39 city bike docks coming
And there are going to be a whole lot of folks driving north, bicycling north, and they're going to need a protected, it's not only the commuter bicyclists, it's not only the recreational bicyclists, it's not only the messengers and delivery guys, it is going to be people riding city bikes, and they're going to need a protected northbound lane. So whether we can get it on Amsterdam Avenue, or we can get a protected lane on Central Park West, or we can get a protected lane on Broadway, they've got to do that study, but the most important thing is we are really trying to get, we must have a northbound, a protected northbound bike lane.
So usually that's what this resolution calls.
That's what the last one called for.
Okay.
And just let me emphasize what Linda re-emphasize what Linda said, that this does not require or call for the bike lane to be on Amsterdam Avenue. It's not feasible if you are meeting the DOT to figure out which avenue it is feasible on. The bottom line is, as Linda said,
Right, always it says Amsterdam Avenue, or if that's not feasible, another northbound avenue, but it is a vote, if you want to so vote, for a protected northbound bike lane, not a study.
Correct.
Okay, that's all.
Good.
We agree.
Elizabeth, I have a quick comment as well. So
do I.
I just raised it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll walk down there.
Two questions and a statement. One, DOT has been so responsive on other issues. Can you tell us why they haven't responded on this? And two, I think the Central Park West northbound bikeway is a recreational path or a commuter path for people going through our neighborhood. We do not have a northbound bike path through the commercial area, through the center of our neighborhood. And Amsterdam Avenue would be a better place than Broadway. And there is room. It's whether you give this space to pedestrians, to cyclists, or to vehicles. And since Amsterdam Avenue narrows down to one lane at 110th Street, traffic should already be slowing down, but it doesn't in my neighborhood in the 90s. The trucks race by, and there's a number of playgrounds along Amsterdam Avenue where children have to cross and would like to ride the bikes, and that's an issue. Central Park is on the outskirts of the Upper West Side. It is not run through our neighborhood.
So let me respond to Jeanette. This is one of many issues that DOT has not responded to us in a timely fashion on. We have you can see it on CB7's website, we have a letter to them detailing 24 or 25 issues that we have brought to their attention that so far have not been rectified. This is yet another one, but this one is obviously getting a little more important due to the oncoming of the city bike station. What was your other question was?
It was more a statement in reaction to some of the comments the community made.
Yeah, because I turned my camera to myself. So I just want to make a quick point about the northbound Central Park West lane, which is that looking at data from the past 2 years, and this goes back a few months, I did this analysis in February, total injuries, which is motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists, Broadway is by far the most dangerous north-south corridor, followed by Columbus, Amsterdam, then Central Park West, and then West End is the least dangerous, according to this data. And this is from NYPD crash data. However, for bicyclists, Broadway is the most dangerous still, but only by one. 48 cyclists were injured on Broadway, 47 on Central Park West. So Central Park West is definitely an issue. Having a northbound bike lane that's not protected, and there's a lot we don't know about the data about whether the crashes happened in the bike lane or it could have been southbound traffic. We don't know that. But Central Park West is definitely dangerous for cyclists. And having another northbound route that is protected, so it's not just a strip of paint that cars can easily drive over, is really important for the safety of the Upper West Side.
Can I go? Yeah, I just want to actually directly contradict Richard's assertions about traffic and pollution and trucks slowing down. We've been building protected bike lanes across the city now for 7 or 8 years, and there's no evidence whatsoever supporting his claims. In fact, traffic tends to mold itself to the new design and actually decrease, not increase, over time. Usually there's about a year or 6 months to a year where there's congestion, and as we saw on Columbus Avenue, it actually declines fairly rapidly after people learn about the protected bike lane. So all of those negative aspects of a bike lane are just not proven out in actual studies of the scientific studies of what we have already implemented on the west side and throughout the city.
One of the things that I would like our committee to do, and I don't think Sarah Klein is still here, but I want to do this in conjunction with the State Center Employment and some other West Side representatives, is we have an awful lot of trucks utilizing N Avenue that are not destined to the Upper West Side anyway. They're using it as a through route. If we could work with them and the Turnpike Authority, and I'm hopeful that we at least put the idea in their heads, that there will be a financial incentive for trucks wanting to go over the GW Bridge to northern New Jersey, to go to the Lincoln Tunnel and maybe get some sort of really reduced rate on the Turnpike versus the free rate they now get on Amsterdam Avenue. I think we could go a long way in solving some of these
Whoops. So I will add my quick voice in support of the resolution, even though I don't have a good argument in response to Richard. I think there may be some pain involved in this. I just think that it's an investment that's worth making. A couple of things. One thing in particular that I would like to highlight for my colleagues is that we will never really know the value of a protected bike lane in one direction until we have one going back. And it may be that that it's not as useful as we think it is, but I don't think so. I think it will be, and I think we'll really see what happens. It will take a lot of work on behalf of both of us as board and community leaders, and we have to call on those who respond to us and work with us to make sure, for example, as Mr. Bean said, that the delivery guys use the bike lane. It hasn't been my experience. We need to ramp up that kind of enforcement to make sure that they do. I think that having an uptown lane in correspondence to the downtown lane will encourage folks not to ride the wrong way on the way out, not to do stupid things like that. But this is the only way to find out. And so for that reason, as well as the reasons that have been offered, I recommend that this resolution carry.
I'm going to have one final comment on this, just to reiterate a few things that you said. One is I hope you will find a big vote for this resolution. If you really want to clear one. It's my belief that in call and implemented that it's asking DOT to implement what's called for study and propose on Amsterdam Avenue or another suitable region. That's what we asked for a year and a half. Study and propose is not just study, propose, and it needs to come back to the community board for review, at which time we decide whether the action being proposed is appropriate or not forward with. With regard to Columbus Avenue being in place and being among other things that happen, I don't think that we know. I think there's some people who have an opinion that is wonderful. I think there's some people who have a different opinion. I think there's various different opinions in terms of what affects traffic on Columbus Avenue. In the last month, the DOT is scrambling to get more parking space for delivery for trucks and changing the parking there to get to try to get the avenue moved. It's rather than it gets changed and avoid the traffic jams that come out. As part of this resolution, we had that we're affirming, we'd ask DOT to do further measurements like they did in the first 6 months of the year. Then provided some things that I would say inconclusive data. There were some problems with the data that indicated some great successes, and the same data also probably asking more measurements, so we would know more of what was happening, how it's used to do. And DOT has moved ahead with that measurement in the same way that we acted on in the other parts of the we want DOT to move on what we asked for. We want DOT or any other, or the NYPD is called for enforcement resolution. So we get to get enforcement of all vehicles. We need enforcement after the street for all vehicles in order to see that when the bike lanes are out there, they get used. So they get ridden in, they get ridden in the right direction, and there's 12 feet. Well, there's no way northbound route, so of course somebody has to ride northbound on Columbus. That doesn't explain to me why riders don't want to go the extra block to get to Columbus to go downtown, because I run into, a few times I'm out driving on Amsterdam, I run into bicycles going the wrong way on Amsterdam with no protected bike lane, just blatantly going the wrong way on the street. Are those people going to go an extra block to go to Columbus or to Lakewood? I don't think so, not without added enforcement, and that's something more than we need to call for. So please, vote for this resolution, and I think we better.
And call the question.
Yeah.
Call the question.
All those in favor of the resolution?
Item 34 in favor, those opposed? Five opposed, abstaining. 1, pause, 0. That carries 34 to 5.
We have one
Madam
more
Chair,
resolution, it's protected disapproval of a newsstand. The applicant did not show up. This newsstand was at the northwest corner of 97th and Columbus in front of Whole Foods. So this protects us in case they choose to come back into disapproval. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Oh, yes, we don't.
All those in favor?
Those voting in favor of the disapproval, raise your hands. Okay, everyone who's voting yes, please raise your hands and keep them up. I have 40 in favor, those opposed? 0 abstaining, 0 for cause, 0 that carries 40 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Moving on, I know that there was an item listed, just FYI, from the HHS committee that has been pulled for this month's meeting. I'm pleased to see that our council member, Ellen Rosenthal, is here. I guess she'd like to come up and tell us what's going on in the neighborhood that we don't know.
Elizabeth, it's so great to see everyone, and it's a really important vote, and I really appreciate that guidance. So thank you for your deliberation on Amsterdam Avenue. I really appreciate that. Something that I support as well. So, carry on. I'd really like to talk about two important things that I've been working on, and then happy to take any questions. One is the city's budget, which you passed successfully. It was very intense for a couple months, so I'm very glad it's done. There's a handout in the back if you'd like to see the details. I laid out what I think the main parts of the city's budget that got funded this time around, what was most important. For me, as I go through it, I think one of the most important things is we saw an unprecedented increase in money for lawyers to protect tenants, including 90 tenants who are getting harassed by their landlords. And this funding is really due to the council's efforts. I think the mayor was willing to put in some money, but it was one of the top priorities of the council that
that funding get increased, and at the end of the day, I think we ended up with between 35 and $40 million for some combination of inspectors, building inspectors, HPD inspectors, as well as the tenant lawyers. According to Councilmember Mark Levine, if we could get that number up for lawyers up to at least $100 million, we could protect nearly all the tenants who go into housing court and give them a lawyer. And I think that's our long-term goal in the council. I'd be interested in hearing any feedback from you on that. Another thing that was incredibly important to me, our district, and the council was school crossing guards. There are a lot of problems getting people to become school crossing guards. They play an invaluable role in our community. We've been short 2 positions this year. So I was very pleased to fight for and win 80 new crossing guards citywide. We'll be getting 2 additional to our district, particularly the 2-0, which really needs additional crossing guards. And I can guarantee that the spots will be filled, which is incredibly important and key. One of the things that's going to help with that is that we've got the raises to $11.50 an hour. I would like to see that number be $15 an hour, and that's something that the council will be working on this year. You mentioned the other really big win for us is the libraries. The additional $40 million, that also is unprecedented. And there's going to be 6-day-a-week service in all the boroughs. For Manhattan, it's probably going to go up to 7-day-a-week service in some branches. So that was something we thought very hard on, just really excited about. And lastly, I'd like to talk about my discretionary funding and the funding that I asked the speaker to prioritize. You can see, I'll be sending out an email. For those of you who get my emails, I'll put out the details. There are a lot of details. But the 2 big wins that I'm really excited about are getting $16 million from the council side and another $14 million from the mayor's side to fund the expansion of the American Museum of Natural History. I think they're looking to the council and to the mayors to fund $30 million this year and $30 million next year. So we did our piece for this year. We just have 1 more year to get that battle done, and they'll be fully funded from what they're expecting from the public sector. Similarly, in this budget, we now have fully funded the renovation of the main theater at Symphony Space. And I'm just delighted about that. That was my second top priority after American Museum of Natural History on my speakers list, and they got the full amount and potentially a little extra funding. So that was exciting. And then actually also I should mention that the speaker is interested and agreed to fund, it was $150 million to start a renovation at Amsterdam houses to think about one of the first floors in one of the 24 buildings as an aging in place concept. And this is something that Amsterdam houses have worked on for a while with local architects. In fact, one of the first architects who designed Amsterdam houses is involved in this project. And Shola is interested in exploring this idea, and the speaker is now put $150 million behind it. So I'm very excited to see what we can do with that, how we can get it off the ground. Something to be excited about. And of course, all the items that you helped to get funded through participatory budgeting, all of that was funded. The new van for the West Side Campaign Against Hunger, the safety bike lane down by the road basin, the countdown clocks, and the turf that runs into the high school for practice for the high schoolers for soccer. You might also have noticed that some bus service has come to the Upper West Side. I'd be interested in your feedback on that. The booths are, oh, I see. Sorry, no, diverting.
Right. So far, so good. We're getting great. Sort of along the lines of traffic safety, I do want to mention someone was talking about the bike delivery guys when we were just talking about Amsterdam Avenue, goes the wrong way. I was able to secure funding from the DOT who will help me conduct a bike safety training session for our restaurateurs and the delivery guys. So I'll be counting on BCI to help us get the word out this fall. And at that session, we'll include about 3 vests and bells and whistles. So that's good stuff. The other thing, there are a lot of things going on in July. So I have my usual handout on events in the area. Please pick that up. And of course, we're doing the food bag program for seniors, where anyone can come and buy a bag of food for $8, which is a great deal. That's what I got. Oh, wait, one more thing about this, because I'd really be interested in hearing your feedback. You can send me an email with your thoughts if you don't want to bring it up tonight. But, you know, I'm on the budget negotiating team, and for the last 2 months, as we've been thinking about the council's request for more police officers, some of us who felt a little less comfortable with that idea pushed very hard to get the amount of funding for summer youth jobs and year-round youth jobs to be an equivalent amount of money as what was spent on for the youth police. And we thought we were doing a good job, because that number we got out from last year, where it was around 12 million, we got it up to 36 or 40 million, and I really thought we were rolling there, because I thought the police number was going to be 60 million, but it turned out the police number was $170 million, so we didn't get anywhere close. That took me by surprise, and I was very disappointed in that outcome. There's a group of us that is getting to be a louder and louder voice in the council that will fight even harder for that next year. You know, our district doesn't deal with the type of crime that runs rampant in other parts of the city. My colleague, Dr. Richards, who represents the Far Rockaways, when we discuss this, you know, he's always referring to the 7 shootings that just happened in his district that week. So while I understand the necessity for cops, and I understand the need to shift to community policing, which I'm a big fan of, I do think that to the extent that we can be offering jobs to young men of color in particular, we will be doing the right thing. So that's my point of view, and I'd be happy to hear your feedback on that. Now or later. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for that. And the numbers have over the years increased.
Yeah, this year we turned it around.
That's great. You know, the mayor,
No, none. None. It was all the council side, and we were, it was done. Yep.
Everybody.
I will do that.
It's a letter. Tax policy.
Tax policy, I'm pro fixing our tax policy. I believe our tax policy, and Emily, please don't word it quite this way in the manual, but I believe it sucks. And it needs to be overhauled. It's great. We in Manhattan on the West Side are completely overpaying, and the single-family homeowners are underpaying. And I will tell you though, as much as I pushed for this, in last year we got a commission set up, but then the political winds shut it down. So in the last year's budget, the council set aside, I think it was $60,000 to
have a real commission with, 100,000 to look at it. It's no report out, from that commission, and it's not funded again this year, and we ended up doing some tweaking on the edges. I understand now why Gail stood here for all these years and running before her, saying, you know, it's a mess and it is the political will to get it fixed. And it's really Queens and parts of Brooklyn and Staten Island who are shutting that down. So, but I appreciate your letter very much, and that counts as my response. You love that, right? No problem. Thank you very much, Richard. Good to see you.
Want a second. To my money, dollar spent on the summer program is worth more than $1 spent on it. Even in the high, especially in the high. Anything that can be done.
Great, send it along. I appreciate that. I mean, I held back from including in the numbers how much more money you put into the libraries and after-school programs, because I think those things are geared towards teens and younger. And it's not the young men. We're not addressing that, so I didn't rush that. Along with that, yeah.
Or you mentioned the council on
One building, and it's a proposal, and we haven't done it yet. It's a proposal. We have architectural drawings that Amsterdam Houses Tenants Association has supported for the last 15 years. It's just that now I was able to secure some funding for it, and so we're going to. The original architect of Amsterdam Houses helped with the drawings. Yes, Herbert Oppenheimer. Okay, so not my skill set, but I will defer to Gabby on this and pull her into the conversation. Anything else from this side, that side? Okay, thank you all so much. Good to see everyone.
Just a quick point of co-secretary privilege. We have to leave by 10 p.m. and we have less than 6.6 minutes per issue that remains. So just so people are mindful of that as they introduce discuss.
The first item I just want to mention is that we did have comments in the minutes. I won't take the time now. I'm going to amend it. Oh, great. So I just. If anybody needs copies of the minutes, I'm choosing one statement to that. My motto is about culture changing for one. So it's very easy enough time for correct name and for correct. So if somebody wants copies of this, has to be down, let's be corrected the for that. Apart from that, everything else. So apologies. The item that's up is the Sunshine Task Force. I had the privilege with other board members going to speak on 5 presentation, and that in Municipal Arts Society. And I was kind of staggered by what I saw. I read, you put your hands out like this, and then you put your hand down, wiggle around. That's the equivalent of travel study. This is a good version. My colleague wants to type numbers and statistics, but just looking at 13 buildings that are proposed and going up creates a wall, not only in architecture, not only inspiring but also impacts public space. Not to mention, not in these other topics, what we do are already called. So we had a very good discussion, online, there is a video, we did a bigger disagree. I think one of the things that came out from it, and I'm going to let Richard describe our support of community
added a clause to reinforce and confirm human. So Richard, can you talk about what we added?
Well, we essentially, that does support the resolution by 245 to impose a moratorium on buildings 600 feet or higher than border the park. We said 1,000 feet from the park. And the primary objection is the shadows. But we also took the opportunity to add a whereas or actually a resolution that urges city planning to do a complete citywide review while they're looking to reduce the bonus available for affordable housing because we think it's too rich. And some of us have been clamoring for that for a long time. And hopefully, if city planning reviews Central Park South area, they will also review affordable housing, inclusionary housing. And we also point out that these large buildings have an effect not just on shadows in the park, but on the voting community, the 10 to 0.
Oh, I know we're exercising this is but very quick question. Is there a lot of exposure to this other than what we all know
Yes,
about?
yeah,
On the
there are
south
several buildings that either are in pre-construction phase or are assemblable from parcels. We haven't done the study, but I think are on the south.
No, we all know about the south, 57 Street.
Right. We're not, there was some discussion about a couple of sites in our district, actually. It's kind of weird to say we want to limit building size to 60 stories, but that's what it comes to.
I don't understand the last sentence. I'm reading, I see the resolution, but what was on the sheet. CB7 requests the Department of City Planning review includes the study of inclusionary housing with a view to reducing the rate of additional bonus FAR and allocate this to affordable housing. What does that mean?
This is a typo.
I'm sorry?
It's a typo.
So can you explain it? Are you saying?
What it means is, it is a typo, and unfortunately, my handwriting. But what it needs to say is review housing, reduce the FAR bonus, so that either there's more inclusionary housing or lower.
Well, wait a second. Now it's even more unclear. Because are you saying that if the bonus were to go to inclusionary, to affordable housing, that the increased height would be acceptable? That, after all, is in some respects the mayoral policy. So is that what you're saying here? Because I find it.
What you're saying is this is really, we have an eye more toward our district than much else. Whatever limitations imposed by city planning is always studied large buildings. One result should be that if the developers want to get a bonus for inclusionary housing, the bonus needs less rich. Or conversely, that there's more inclusionary housing, more affordable housing, as a means to reduce the overall price, but as a separate issue, separate study, and apply not just to super fault, but also.
But isn't there a study now underway about to be released on inclusionary housing?
Mayor.
I think it's coming out.
Yeah.
We haven't
Okay, I mean, I think I
Just
get it.
propose to strike it.
I think, I just suggest, if I may, I'm not against, obviously. I think the wording is terribly
You're right.
unclear, and the more you talk about it, the more it becomes unclear.
Yeah,
It's not that the point is not a valid one, it is not at all reflected in this, and it confuses even more.
Okay.
yeah, I actually propose a friendly amendment to just separate this as a separate vote and do the CB5 resolution in its entirety as one vote, and then this inclusionary housing study clarified as a separate vote.
I'm not saying that, I think just right.
Right. Yeah, but why does it have to be one vote? Why does it have to be one vote? Because it confuses this issue.
We're including all of CB5 and one thing that wasn't
in order to give this more weight, it is included in more play. It's separate with our ideas the inclusion of it will hold us
If I may,
Go ahead.
Is it the similar reason that we stuck with the 600 feet height? And I'm curious about the logic for making it 600 feet around the entire perimeter, or if it might make sense to have it smaller on the Upper West Side.
It might, but we 600 feet was amount for the height that CB5 adopted, and we felt that to support them would be a good idea. It certainly makes sense to have a lower limit on the upper side. If you wanted to make an amendment, certainly, if you want to propose an amendment to reduce the height of trees, the moratorium on the upper side.
So admittedly, this is an area I'm by no means an expert, but I would imagine that if someone proposed a 40-story building on Central Park West somewhere in our district, the community and we would not be in favor. So I think 600 feet, in my mind, and again, I'm not an expert, seems over high.
I think that this is good, I understand what you're doing, but it does get very confused. And I would only suggest just looking at the last paragraph, and in terms of what Rich is saying, there are two different points, so they are related. One is you incorporate the point about bonus here. The Community Board 5 points about all the buildings on Central Park West and so on, all of them are as of right.
Right.
They are not, it's not about bonus at all. If I may just finish this, the concern is that these as of right buildings and have made for 1,000-foot buildings, and that the result has been that there have been shadows that are deleterious to the greatest jewel of New York, Central Park, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not about bonus in terms of Ward 5 and shadows. Now, as for us.
I think they are only, how you
No.
No.
It's,
well, it may be. I'm not saying it may be, but just for clarification.
I would be surprised if there isn't some housing among those buildings.
No, there aren't. Not on 57, but the point just quickly for Rich is that, and after all, about Ward 7, Rich's point about 40 40-story building. I think there are already new 40-story buildings, and that the buildings, the new buildings as of right in Ward 7 in many places, a number of them are 390, 400, 450. So if there is reason for Board 7 to ask for some degree of cap on as of right, then we should be able to say that, let's say at Board 7 over 450 or something like that, because the highest ones, I think, is the Time Warner building, which is a 3-board, and that's 760 feet or so. All I'm saying here is good, but the last part becomes, to me, in wording and in substance, confused. I hear what you're saying, but it gets confused in the resolution. I just suggest looking at it.
It's substantive, but it's not confusing.
Well,
Okay, all right.
What we're
Okay.
saying
If you
is.
think so, it doesn't.
Let me offer one alternative, which is just say by reducing the rate of additional bonus FAR period and take out and allocate this to affordable housing, because it becomes confusing as to whether we're talking about increased height for affordable housing. So that way it eliminates the confusion. Okay, all right. Yes, yes, we understand. Remember, I was there. I got it.
I wasn't.
All right. All right. Yeah.
We will have the tallest building on 57th Street. Yes. So that is something to think about. So it will migrate. So.
Yeah.
Did we use up our 6.6 minutes? All right, all those in favor of the resolution as amended by Mel? Number 4. At 35 in favor, those opposed? I have 1 opposed, abstaining. 1 abstention, for cause, 0. That's carried 35.
Great job, Wendy. Thank you. So turning it over to preservation now, Gabby and Jay, and then PCI.
Okay, so we have 4 first one is
Oh, no, I see that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so, 188 Columbus is on the list. There we go. And so, okay, so we have a storefront that's on the low right there, that's an existing condition that the current tenant inherited, and it is, that this application is legalized. It's a very simple application that you presented to us. You want to go to the next image also. These are images of the neighborhood and other storefronts, and I want to go to the last page for a minute, which is the storefront at the time of dedication. What you presented to us showed that it was consistent with other storefronts in the neighborhood, tripartite competition. If you go back, and that we found that we were
What are we doing?
It's Katie. This is 188.
36 in favor? 37 in favor?
That's
Opposed? 1. Abstaining? 0. For cause? 0. That carries 37 to 1, 0, 0.
Okay, so the next application is probably the most complicated. It's 132 West 7th Street. And this is, it's go up and sideways.
Sideways.
So this is a two-part application on say for a roof competition and a rear yard. And this is the side view of the section. Okay. So this is the existing condition of the building. And what you see here is a big, the areas that are proposed are obviously at the roof that rendered the 15, and then the 3-story half roof addition at the rear, which is existing. And the next image shows the massive two areas of the two proposals. And so we broke this renovation to pieces. So we go to the next image so we can show the from the front, they're doing nothing in the front, really. There's no restoration. And what you can see at the rooftop, which is not visible, is the bulkhead. What this is showing is that they were able to reconstruct the roof so that they can compress the roof composition so that it is not visible from the street. There's a thick layer, a thick quarter on the massive basically. So there is a bulkhead that's even that. So can you go now to, I'm sorry. So I can describe that and then say that we go to it is it's flat and light brown stuff, and it's got large central glazing panels. And if you go to the last page, you can show the here. Okay. So that's the roof composition, that light color with central glazing. On the left-hand side, you can see the and we felt that this, because it's not visible to the public, whether it's true, but unfortunately, that's not the criteria. So I agree with you, but we could keep this level. So, does anybody have any questions about part A of the roof population? Okay. All in favor?
There are 33 in favor, opposed? Three opposed, abstaining? 0 for pause? 0. So part A carries 35 to 0. 33.
So now the next part, which is the rear yard addition, is more complicated. And so actually this is a good thing to look at first, so now we're going to go back. This is an axisymmetric drawing. And on the left-hand side is the existing condition, and on the right-hand side is the other. This is the proposal, okay? That's what's existing, and that's the proposal. And so the proposal is to take down this little half dog and construct a 4-story rear yard addition. Set back to the 30-foot limit, which is required. And then we start to do some tricky stuff, which is a glazed greenhouse with an excavated area here to create a light well that allows us to excavate down to 7 right there. Now, if you go back to the second slide, yeah. So this shows what they're proposing, which is that they have this 4-story addition plus a military house, and then they're excavating 12 feet in the cellar, 6 feet here and 6 feet here, which means that the amount of space left in the backyard, even though the spirit says you can't be more than 30 feet in the rear line, suddenly you're 18 feet of walkable. And there are a lot of things about this application that concerned us that weren't quite visible at first. So now, we go they fully know it. This is the greenhouse, which, believe it or not, is very slightly sloped, blade roof, but it's supposedly a walkable terrace, where the railings aren't drawn in the right place. And unfortunately, with this particular application, we've seen many times, we often find that we ask questions that there are more questions than we see. And so, jumping into the conclusion, we have a lot of problems with it, and unless we make significant changes, we cannot. We have a real concern that there were all kinds of different demonstration patterns going on, that the top floor walls would change the openings and lower ones in the doorway, they were taking the windows where it should be done like the rest of the neighborhood. That there were vertical railings on some of the balconies, there were horizontal elements here that we found a whole thing kind of unresolved. And so we asked for changes that he wasn't going to do, but we disagree with that. Yes. We send it down as two things. I mean, the post, whatever is the LGBTQ. But we're going to assume our recommendation was that this was not reasonable.
Yeah, and I think I explained at the last meeting, because of the challenging schedule, we get into this time. They did on the 16th of June, help you to approve this application. I mean, normally there are, nuances to these things. The fact that they approve I try to go to as many of the commissions as I can, and I didn't go to that, and I'm very curious as to what the discussion was. We should definitely go on the record.
Very quickly, even though this has been approved by LTC, I encourage my colleagues to support the resolution, because this notion of invading the rear yard is really wrong, especially with the excavation, especially with this part of the greenhouse that is in no way temporary. So we can't let this be a CB7 precedent, so I encourage you to vote with the committee.
We work hard on these things, and I would like to be very hard. Yes.
I agree. Vote to disapprove.
Unless the changes are made. And they're not, they weren't.
Number 6.
Yeah.
The whole rear yard addition, that building, the excavation, the greenhouse, everything of what's going on there.
A yes vote is a disapproval of the rear yard.
Question here would be, if it's worth because there's two issues in Marshall. And that is the big house is meant to be temporary structure, no, we need access, primary access, the second thing is excavating the rear yard is not, and includes the zoning happens to ground level, not below or above. So the 30 foot, in my view, I could be able to is violating the ground. So even though LTC approved it, I would ask that the submitted challenge to the Department of Building to do this on the zoning criteria of final rear yard. So I think with Mark's input, I'm shocked that it's not the way.
Maybe it's not,
Sure.
Well, definitely. Sounds like it's appropriate. I have no problem.
Yes.
Is it the case that an excavated cellar can't be more than half of the space of the correlated apartment? And are they looking to make the cellar equal in size to the?
As far as I know, you can excavate your entire cellar, but when you start calling it open space, which they've done, I included, and said, not only the walking space, but a gap.
There we go.
It's stretching the point of open space. It isn't actual construction. Downward, it's construction. The greenhouse, definitely. I'm working on a historic greenhouse now, and I'll tell you the last thing you want to do is walk on the last roof. So unless he's got money like Apple and uses that kind of glass, I can't imagine that needs any fire and safety.
This is what we raised.
Yeah, but I think that's why it needs to go to the.
Yeah, and if it's an applicant that we know has cut corners in the past, then yeah.
Call the
Call the
question.
question. So again, a vote, a yes vote is to disapprove.
All those in favor?
Yes.
35 in favor, opposed? 0 abstaining? 0 pause? 0. All right, is this a vote? Okay, 0. So that carries 75 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Very quickly, I'm a quick observation. I think you are that folks should know about it. Yes, absolutely. I think I've observed in the last 6 months or so, making a very solid decision. I haven't been following every meeting, but I've been reading a lot of the results of it. There are people in that commission that couldn't do that. We will definitely include that. The right letter will send it to all. Absolutely.
Okay, the next application is another proposal for 327 West 4th Street is, oh, sorry, 106 West 8. 106 West 8. Could you pull it in this up? Because this is a legalization of a ground weather entryway. This is a building that even at the time of the students was removed even before the tax was taken. And so there was a mutual major considerably created at the street level. Can you go to the next one? That's what's existing is what's shown here, which is this is another detail of what is currently done in the existing building. And keep going, because I want to show what was there before. So this is what was there before, and then it's not storage. So it had this metal storage door and a flat wood, right, a flat wood stone surround. And so now go back, no, go down one more. If you don't mind. This is so this is the very this is the photo from and you can see that already was removed to the student. So if we go back up to now, and show what they have existing, they look yeah, right there.
A little higher.
And down a little, so you can see the top. Yeah, thank you. So what the applicant did was to show us that there were other instances, both at the traditional street level entrance, as well as a couple of others where buildings in the line that were similar to this is not what we're doing there. But it has the spirit of what we see on the block in the neighborhood, and we found it to be really appropriate, and that's to be what we're so that we can be clear. So we're going to do it. Any questions? So a vote to approve this is
All those in favor? 36 in favor. Those opposed? 0 abstaining. 0 for pause. 0. That carries 36, 0, 0, 0.
Okay, so the last application is another rooftop and rear yard addition, much more modest and in our opinion, reasonably appropriate. This application shows our building, the applicant's building is actually sandwiched between all of it. And it's the area that's outlined in red. So can we go to the next page, please? And that was, just the one to the right, that's it. This shows the massiveness proposed. There's a rear yard addition that replaces a single story with a two-story, and then there's a rooftop addition, a little house-like thing. A house-like thing is not visible off the public way, and some also, like that other applicant, they managed to kind of reduce the height by reducing the thickness of the roof structure and pulling the floor on down. If you can go to the next one, please. So this is the rear, the one they're replacing with those this is the rear facade, and it's a three-story addition. Well, it's brick clad, it's got metal piece of windows, and the rooftop addition is a white color stucco. There. So they're not excavating at all in the basement. This is the wall really very changed. We asked about that. And we just found that it was reasonably appropriate with what we have also approved with other rear yard additions. You know, this large glass panel, glass frame in the center, we've done that in other projects. We like the fact that they have the top floors, we can build these doors. We think it's the regular, it's just the light color of the metal, and we've done it in a more cladding. No, there's only one story that is now, and they're replacing it with a three-story window. And it's that, I don't know.
No.
It's actually,
There are other points.
can you go to the next, yeah, I mean, this is lining up with what's next door with one side and creating a little space between the many others that happen. But it's not anything on the road. It's an eccentric,
It's now a one-story. You can see it.
it's just what's confusing, though, it's actually, it's relocated. Yeah. So this is one more little house show there. So they're building up two stories on top of it. And then maybe the fourth floor is going to be better in the this is the
I can't think of anything for those windows other than like commercial factories.
we have and we looked at it as artists, we built kind of construction, and we are maybe at the speed of approving some of that. So I do what you're saying. And this one, can you go back to the, so at least this maintains, it's actually, it has more scale than some of the big glass panels because it is broken down in one way. And basically there's an on their part way. We felt that it has a sense of the scale that's different because we're not using that as a very consistent with other ones. So I do what you're saying.
I think I can persuade you to this.
Okay. Yes.
No,
Not at all. Not at all. And we voted to approve the, Mark voting or say?
I'm voting.
Voted, okay. All in favor?
All those in favor? Okay, 31 in favor. Those opposed? Four opposed, abstaining. One for cause. 0. That carries 31 to 4 to 1 to 0.
Thank you very much, Preservation Committee. And thank you to Christian for doing the slide work. Which is amazing. Thank you very much. So I think it was Penny who said at one point that August, we always think August is going to be very slow around community board summit, and it always ends up being the busiest. So, turning it over to Michelle. Yeah.
We have number 9, which we really have to divide A and B. 9A is 182nd Street, place called Columbus Plains, where the Beach Plains is. It's actually the restaurant that's moving, Fuchsia Restaurant, is moving up there. So because they're moving,
What happened? Hard to make money.
they told us it's the same menu with Japanese food, and that they will have no live music, no delivery at present. And we know that there's no impact grant, and very, very narrow sidewalk with trees. They can't put in the money. We voted in favor of that unanimously, and we're asking you to.
Michelle, a question. Why separating out 92?
Because actually, number 9A, the Amity Hall,
Yeah.
really has to be a disapproval unless they follow the change of hours and direct of operation.
So can we add on line 16 on the back of your sheet? That'll be 9B, so that'll be the 982 Amsterdam Avenue. And then the first vote that we will take will be current 9. That'll be 9A, only for 100 West 82nd Street.
Anybody have any questions?
So 9 becomes 9A.
Yes, 9 becomes 9A, and we've only discussed 9A. Michelle has only discussed 9A.
Okay.
Yeah, let's still talk about 9.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, it's all right.
All those in favor,
Not
raise
on
your
camera.
hands. Okay, 34 in favor, those opposed? 0 abstaining. 0 for cause. 0, 9A carries 34 to 0 to 0 to 0.
So 982 Amsterdam, that's 108 Street, this is number 16, right?
Yep.
This is Amity Hall uptown. They are going to occupy the space that is currently the courthouse. They are in operation though, and how we get it, even though we have no complaints from the neighbors about the courthouse. This operation is not intended, not intended as restaurant all over. They can go to the big book, plans and menus and decorations. They work for what they're going to do. And we wanted them to amend their hours of operation, which they didn't do. They said they would come back to us for an after cafe. Any questions? I want to tell you, this is an operation where the corporate office is all master, they're moving the basement to this place, so they're working on overtime. They said that the manager working with their overtime to do it. And they said that they have high regulations with the families, only the manager.
Can you point out why the disapproval on that point?
way.
First, Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. They want to do it.
I thought you said they agreed to.
They did, so then why did and they did actually submit.
So you just going to approve on conditions of disapprove on yes.
Correct.
Got it, got it.
Oh, yes, the vote yes.
Oh, yes.
All those in favor, raise your hands. Thirty-four in favor, those opposed? 0 abstaining, 0 for cause, 0 that carries 34 to 0 to 0 to 0. Now we're back to number 10 on the voting.
This is for a face-to-face within the city at 509 Amsterdam. Of course, as you know, whenever a new place goes there, those people have a problem with old space come to me. It's a good thing, I don't know what's happening on it. But if they don't think it's going to stay upstairs, and they want a downstairs space. They want it for a reservation basis only, 15 tables and 30 seats. Last meeting at midnight, no light music, low level music, this is a stipulation on it. And, they will do some recipes of, and using one of the in-game of kids stuff. So we're asking you to disapprove the SLA. It's an alteration of the SLA license for different states. We're asking you to disapprove it unless they agree. One, the basement space will not be used as an overflow space from Jacob's City. That's upstairs, they agree not to have that. Two, the basement space will only be used on the reservation space only. Three, the space will have a condition of tables and 30 seats. 4, the last meeting will be at midnight. 5, there will be no live music. 6, the music level will be low to facilitate conversation. 7, the noise level will get stickers upstairs will be reduced as follows. There will be A, there will be a manager which will provide a direct contact number with the resident. B, they lower the actual placement of the speaker on the wall, put it a little lower, and that limits somewhat of the way it goes up. And C, they agree to control, limit the volume level on the next step. It will go again, and again, number 12. I heard they told us the highest level is 18. So, we're going to start a conversation. Oh, and I'd like to add that they, as an eight, they come back to us here, and we do what we're doing with their agreement, the stipulations, and some of the issues. Yes.
With the draft to,
So I have to tell you, so this is she said, outside out, she doesn't want to be.
Take it, take it.
Never make complaints about the noise of the people. So we said we were going volunteers.
Residents across the street from two different districts, and we have an entire floor, and I'm going to be like this. They have two very good roundups downstairs, and cafe and food. And she's always wanted to have vibration because she was directly upstairs and knew she was directly upstairs in a trend. However, one other thing, if the other tenant who lives on the other side of the second floor does not have a problem, he's been there for 2.5 years and he doesn't hear. So I don't know if the issue is some people are sensitive to noise and others, living on Amsterdam Avenue is difficult to start with. So we're gonna work it out and we're gonna and Jason's amazing, he's an amazing community guy, he's given a whole lot of money to the development area. So I know those.
We're asking you to do
So the issue I would love for us to have some impact on is that their crowd spills out from their outdoor cafe onto the panel and over the general sidewalk. I don't want to vote no, but I would love it if we could do some sort of letter or encouragement to them to monitor that so they move to the piece that seems to actually have folks possibly include a phone call from the bar next door and making that a little bit more practical. Yeah, I would love it.
Just a quick question. I don't understand why the basement space cannot be used for spillover from Jacob's Pillow. What? Yeah, but why would we stipulate that they can't?
The concern that we had during the committee was that with this can be used as an excuse just to increase the entire capacity of the entire establishment. So just packing more as many people as they could inside and just increasing the sound levels inside the restaurant. Or what it's really, as they pitched it to us, really going to be a separate area used for a different style of gathering. Reservation only, quiet conversation. That was proposed to us, but we just gave them agreed to stick. Yeah, it's just the purpose of it, as they pitched it to us, their business plan was what they agreed to, and they just agreed to it explicitly as part of that.
That's fine. I mean, it just seemed like a natural thing. If it was used, if it were used for spillover. Okay, let's try it.
Let's go.
We're asking you to alteration application FCLA unless
It's going to be age friendly. Yeah, in the booklet it says disapproves. It says disapproves without prejudice. Is that so? That's not what we're voting. Okay, got it. Yep.
Disapprove unless.
Yes, disapprove unless. Okay. All those in favor?
We can group the next 5.
3-5. Opposed? 0 abstaining? 0 for cause? 0, that carries 35 to 0, 0 to 0.
So now we're on to the
Yes.
This is an uninstalled cafe. It's table 16 seats. Yeah, I don't remember much about it. They were not first time for us, and nobody's made any complaints about it. And the guy was a really nice guy, and that's that.
All the questions.
Yeah, let's vote.
All those in favor? Thirty-five in favor. Opposed? 0 abstaining. 0 for cause. 0. That's 35 0 0 0.
Thank you. Number 12 is a new
pattern.
Right. And this is the site of the former
Indian cafe.
And I did that cafe in at least 30 years. And Mark was. They did some renovations.
Yeah, on that block was one of the first closed cafes in the city before they closed the wall. And cafe grandfather was still on that block. All there in people.
Yeah. I know the employment going, but
You don't know if Mark is gonna vote.
I don't know. My own person.
You better wait
I have a
for.
question. Yes, because 50 years about 2 years ago, and my concern is, why is it continuously there? Why is it continuously stay at the previous one, and I'm sure we approved that restaurant. Yeah. No, I remember when
What difference does it make?
we heard somebody else took this over. I was aware, and I don't even know.
What's the difference?
It's getting late. Okay.
All those in favor? I have 30 in favor, opposed? Four opposed, abstaining. One for pause. 0. That's going to be 30 to 4 to 1 to 0.
We tried.
They didn't show up at the meeting because of the building. They've been in business about 12 years. This is the unclosed cafe.
All those in favor? That's 35.
You opposed all? You closed?
0 abstaining, 0 opposed, 0. That's 35 to 0.
What's in the principle of public space?
On 72nd between Amsterdam and London. On the south side of the street, this is for 5 people and they will do paperwork, they will do posting,
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't recall that there's any other unenclosed cafe on 72nd Street. Okay. So I would actually then, given that there's not, I would discourage an approval of this unenclosed cafe just because 72nd Street is so busy and the foot traffic is so strong. And it would be a very bad precedent on 72nd Street. But it's enclosed. Oh, is that the wine bar? Oh, I voted against that too. I think we should go against these things. 72nd Street alternate.
Wait.
There's no side by it. If I want to repeat it, there's no thing that there's nothing else. I mean, there's not.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, you want to flash it? We have a picture if you want to flash it.
Yeah, is the projector still available? Can we put it up on the screen?
What? The theater? Right now. Yeah, it's right next. It's right there in the thick of it all. I just don't think it's a good idea. Maybe that's all you get. Michelle.
If those could just, Michelle's trying to get this piece of this.
Yeah. Just one other thing. On that block, you have a number of other restaurants. You have Lime Leaf, you have Taco Grill, you have Tasty Delight, you have the Triad Theater. Yeah. In other words, if we approve one cafe, we'll have a very difficult time disapproving any other cafe that applies on that block. So we need to think very carefully about this. That's all. Why would I want to disapprove? The street traffic is pretty intense. What? It is intense. Well, it's up to you guys. I'm.
My only question is about this. Years ago, Northwest did a great job calling 22nd Street Main Street. It's more vibrant and remove a lot of the expressions and 19th Street. So my concern is that our colleagues opening the gates, adding the gates and terrace, it's going to just overly adjust the street again. And it really is lovely. So those sections are two, 1.5 times.
I don't know.
The other way.
Is it the same width as an avenue? It feels more congested. It's gross. Yeah. I don't know. I hate walking that. Yeah. It's the blade shop. Yeah. Is the sidewalk wider than the avenue or less or more than the avenue sidewalk?
So the question about the width of the storefront, you wouldn't be able to put tables in front of the door. So it seems like it's pretty narrow. How many tables are we looking at?
Three tables from the building line to curb, and then one table on the front. Okay.
Yeah. Or tell me to, I'll ask.
Triad Theater is the same building. Entrance to the Triad Theater and restaurant are to the right. Egress to the theater is to the left.
Oh,
Theater's
will they
above.
block
I'm
this?
wondering
Will they
on
block the egress?
feeding in the theater and taking out, how it's going to impact.
Okay.
Here's my only concern with 7%. Okay? On one side, here.
It's why theater is up.
Now, on one side of the commercial street, and the other side of it has to be referred, great output, great input from the surrounding impact. Lots of like 77 feet, less. We need to vote by thin air vote in favor of the first time we had been there. There's a lot of objections from the community, a lot of good reasons. There's also a lot of good reasons why some of us have that. This is the first of what I've seen on this block. I don't feel like I've heard anything from the block association supporting this. There seems to be an absence of that here when we've heard it in other places on this. I am concerned that maybe we're moving too quickly for the good purpose without having heard all of the neighborhood. Why haven't we heard it? I would like to know.
But I can say that I pass this every day. This is a totally commercial area. To my knowledge, the Middle Block Association is a kind of sterile commercial area that I think would be enlivened by having people sitting on the street. If they were to sit on the street,
Looking at the plan, it actually is
Yeah.
in front of that window. It goes from, it's really tiny, 8'9" by 8'9", it has 3 tables, and then 2 at the front, it's 5 tables altogether, it's tiny.
All right.
What concerns me is the railing or the barricade. If you consider a small sidewalk, if you don't have a barricade, you would have 3 tables at right outside. Because what you're doing is providing this obstruction, which will come at a very large obstruction on the sidewalk. Much smaller than 2.
well, the boundary and it's sort of like regulation for those,
Yes, but there's a more category in sidewalk that say that you could use it smaller. And the whole idea of it was that when you put it on the barricade, it was an absolute intrusion onto the street, as opposed to
That's the reason why we do encourage those barricades, they're very thin, is because people can move outside. You just have to enclosed on the rest of the sidewalk. It's not the restaurant, it's not the restaurant's fault, but that's what the natural thing is. So that's why we encourage it. And the barricades are very thin, they're not big fat barricades.
All right.
Not into the
One last thing. One last thing. Okay, I just want to say, after listening to this debate, I'm going to switch my idea about this. I'm voting for this resolution because I think 72nd Street could use some help.
All the questions.
Catherine.
Voting yes, raise your hands. I have 28 in favor. Those opposed? I have 5 opposed. Abstaining? 1. For cause? 0. That carries 28 to 5 to 1 to 0. Thank you, everyone.
And we asked that if there's any plans that they have to around. We asked them to,
Right.
wrap it up, so that it's not on that ground and say,
So this would be a disapproval of the application.
What does it mean if the motion is not adopted?
I don't know.
The vote, I'm sure.
What happens if you have more than
Michelle?
I know, okay.
Michelle?
Yes.
Is this an outline
Of the disapproval?
or is it a
Of the disapproval?
slash the wraparound or
Got it.
That must have been of an that must have been of an approval. They didn't reverse it. Possible.
My name is Arthur Harris. And he asked me to the school restaurant, 45 seats. Sidewalk cafe, closed sidewalk cafe, which use zoning laws and the guidelines and everything else. Keep up the design, and keep all of the regulations. And if you don't require any variances, you have a wide street, you're asking for 8 tables, 16 feet. When we came to the meeting a couple weeks ago, it said that if you don't like unenclosed sidewalk cafe, that back and down. There's no law that says you can do that. It's in a commercial zone. You can see that's one beautiful picture of what the situation is. It doesn't affect the building. The co-op building itself, all the buildings are in favor. All the restaurants, all want that cafe. Like the city said they only want increase the size of 9 feet. We only get to 8 feet on the side of the have to. Also, it's not stated in the zoning law. So that's everything you say is workable by zoning the requirement of not having wraparound. He loses all for a seat. Sidewalk cafe is not money. Sidewalk cafe is a quality license issue in New York. It's a beautiful location, beautiful cafe, and it's safe, and it doesn't affect anybody. And something that I think should approve. Basically, I want you to vote no on this resolution. But I have pictures here.
How much, you have 8 feet on 108th Street, is that what it is? If you have 8 feet around the corner.
We have 15-foot sidewalk, our cafe extends out 5'6". There's a wall space, you can see right there, that extends out 5 feet. We are completely compliant with all regulations.
So my question is, how much clear passageway is there?
We have 9 feet 6 inches.
How much?
9 feet 6 inches on the side street, 9 feet clear.
Are you saying that there's actually, once you get past the proposed cafe, that there's a vault space?
There's a wall space that comes out 5 feet, so the sidewalk is 10 feet wide. This space here. Yeah, the sidewalk, right, that's a natural, yeah, that's a wall. And and the entrance to the building, which is another 100 feet away, there's no complaints.
Does the treatment obstructed passageway at all? The treatment?
Excuse me?
Does the treatment obstruct?
Absolutely not. It's beyond touch point. It was reviewed by the every floor. There's nothing in the floor that says anything about the massive. Yes.
I'm actually going to change my vote. I was going to vote against this, but now I'm looking at this, more closely. One thing, we don't like wraparound cafes on side streets for the reason that side streets are narrow, and it makes a problem. It encumbers pedestrian accessibility.